Welcome back. The Monroe County Falcons have had an amazing season so far with an 11-1 record, Andrew.
That's right, and in this week's regional final, they play a team they are familiar with, the South Warren Spartans, a team they beat earlier in the season on the road, 41-0. Joining us now is Monroe County head coach John Petett. Coach, we thank you for joining us.
Good to see you, Coach.
Good to be here, guys.
Talk to us a little bit about that game, 41-0 on the road. This is a team you are familiar with. We kind of, mentioned that. How are you preparing to face a team that you've already faced once in the season?
Well, I guess the main thing we do, we're 2-0 right now. Both teams are 2-0 going into the postseason. We really don't look back, and if we do, we set ourselves up for failure. We played very good that night. I think they come out and played, not up to their potential. They played flat, and it's a totally different atmosphere, totally different. A lot more on the line this week than what has been on the line the last game we played.
And Coach, you know better than anybody that teams change from week to week or weeks to week. And obviously, at the beginning of the season, the first 3 weeks, 1-3, I know you weren't happy with the way things were going, even though you won a couple of those games. You lost to Warren East. You guys are totally different today. I mean, the last 8 games of the season, you guys have basically run the table. So you know better than anybody that it's not going to be the same game as you had back on October 4th.
No, that's most definitely. I mean, early in the season, we really didn't know what our identity was, and we started clicking, and things that were falling into place for us, and kids were making plays. And, then we go to South Warren, and we played on a short week, and they were coming off a bye week. So there's a lot of different things you can throw into there. There were some touchdowns that we scored that they were right there, could have knocked the ball down. So, the score was way far than what the game was, and we know the effort we're going to get from them. I mean, Mark Nelson's one of the best coaches in South Central Kentucky, and they have a great defense. So, we're just looking forward, and as all week that we've done, every week our kids look forward to playing that Friday night. And we don't really care who's coming to Darrell Carter Stadium as long as we're getting to compete and play.
Well, it seems like you talked about not looking back. It seems like you guys maybe woke them up a little bit since you guys went down there and beat them. They haven't lost.
Yeah, I mean, they've won 5 in a row, and that's what we tell our kids. They've won 5 in a row, but, on the flip side, we've won 9 in a row. So, I just feel like it's going to be 2 very good football teams playing the third week in the playoffs, and that's the main thing. That's what you have to look at now. You're playing one and done, and, if you come out and turn the ball over, then on Monday you're putting your uniform up. So that's the concept we're taking into this. That's the mindset we're taking into this ball game.
Well, as we see some highlights here of the quarterback, Chad Wilson. Talk a little bit about Chad, what he brings to the table offensively for you guys. I mean, he's kind of a different style quarterback, more kind of like the Tim Tebow-esque quarterback, if you will, kind of can run and pass. Talk about what kind of a wrinkle that brings into your offense.
Well, I mean, Chad's an athlete playing quarterback. If he had his, probably whatever he wanted to do, he would say, put me at wide receiver, put me at tailback, put me somewhere else. But, we've had to have him at quarterback, and that's where we put him, and he just relishes the moment. But I guess the main thing about him, he competes. He just wants to play the game. He competes, and at the highest level, he's very smart on the field, and it makes our other kids better.
Coach, this is nothing new to you guys. I mean, you've been in the playoffs. You've been deep into the playoffs. But for our viewers, does it get tougher as you go, as far as the nerves go? Do you have to settle your team down at all as you get deeper and deeper into this thing? I mean, you're 2 games away from going Hutchins-Smith Stadium. Is that something that you ever have to think about or remind your guys, look, just focus on this one game?
Well, we're coaching different kids. We won the region in 2008, 2009, but these kids they were freshmen the last one we won. So, with their aspect and mindset is totally different from then. So, me, I'm a lot more nervous. I'm tore up on Sunday right after we played Paducah Tillman. So, from a standpoint of that, I don't think the kids really, see what's going on or feel the nerves. They just know that they get to play one more Friday night. And it so happens to be South Warren. And, that's a big thing about it. I think it's great for our area that both our teams out of the same district are playing for the regional championship. And, Coach Nelson's going to tell his kids the same thing. We want to go in there. We know we can play with these guys, and that's the mindset they have, and we know we can play with them because of the outcome of the last game. But I just think it's going to be a shootout.
It's going to be a great game, and obviously it's in Monroe County, your home field. There's a 12th man at Monroe County. Talk a little bit about that crowd support.
I mean, it's huge. You want to play your games at home as much as possible, and it's a big thing. Our fans have been fired up all week. There's signs all over town. They're having we have a big Falcon walk before the game starts. So it's just sort of like we walk from the old high school down to the stadium. So it's very special, and it's a big night, and they love their football there. So it's just looking forward to it, and I'm sure South Warren's going to bring a huge crowd as well.
And you've got that barbecue that brings all the fans out to the game. Coach, at one point in this season, did you maybe realize, maybe a game or practice, that, you know what, we really do have a really good team this year and a chance to do something really special?
Well, like I've told other coaches, I really feel like when I found this out was Adair County. Jacob Hodges did not play the Adair County game, and Chad Wilson went down in the second half of the Adair game. So there I am without two of our guys that's had, 2,500 yards together rushing. But my other kids pick up the pieces, and we win that game 23-6. And that was the night that I felt like that, we've got a total team football team this year, and that every kid understands their role, and there's no egos on this team, and they just love to hit and play football.
Talk about your offensive line for a second, because obviously the offense that you run with Chad and Hodges back there, those guys are pushing off the ball, and they're pushing people off the ball. Talk a little bit about them, because as we all know, it all starts and ends in the trenches.
Yeah, and that's what we always praise those guys. You got Chandler McPherson, Dylan Hale. Those are my two big tackles. They're 6'5", 285 on each side. So we got a couple bookends there. Then I've got a couple fire plug guards, what we call them. They can fly out and do good on the traps and stuff. I've got two very good tight ends, and then I've got a young center. And I always tell my linemen, if we don't notice you on Friday night, then you're doing one heck of a job. That's the main thing. So, I'm very excited for them, and for us to have 3,500 yards rushing this year.
That's great.
Is because of those guys.
All right, well, Coach, we appreciate you stopping by. Best of luck tomorrow night.
We'll
we
see you,
appreciate
Coach.
it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to talk with quarterback Chad Wilson.